Good evening, everyone, and a warm welcome to today's important session hosted by Qualysec Technologies. Thank you for joining us. I'm Bhumishta, and on behalf of Qualysec Technologies, I'm delighted to welcome medical device manufacturers, regulatory professionals, healthcare innovators, and cybersecurity professionals joining us from around the world. Cybersecurity has become one of the defining factors in today's medical device approval process. Over the past few years, we have seen the FDA move beyond simply recommending cybersecurity practices to making them an essential part of pre market submissions. With the Section 524B, the FDA's final cybersecurity guidance, and the transition to QMSR, manufacturers are now expected to provide greater visibility into the software powering their medical devices. A key part of that is the software bills of material. Yet many organizations still face challenges in building and maintaining an accurate SBOM throughout the product lifecycle. Today's webinar has been designed to address exactly those challenges. Throughout the webinar, feel free to share your questions in the chat. We will address them during the live question and answer session at the end. Now, over the next hour, we will take structured approach to understanding SBOM implementation from both a regulatory and a technical perspective. We will begin by discussing why SBOM has become a mandatory component of FDA cybersecurity submissions and what the FDA expects from an SBOM. Moving on, from there, we will examine the most common reasons SBOM-related documentation results in refuse to accept decisions and additional information request. We will then move into the practical side of implementation, covering how to build an FDA-ready SBOM, the essential SBOM components every submission needs, and how SBOM integrates across the total product lifecycle. We will also discuss industry best practices, review a real world SBOM example through a practical walkthrough, and finally open the session for your question during the live question and answer session. Now, to guide us through today's discussion, it is now my privilege to introduce our today's speaker. Joining us today is Mr. Pabitra Kumar Sahoo, the COO and co-founder of Qualysec Technologies. Pabitra sir has over 9 years of experience in cybersecurity, specializing in regulated industries with a strong focus on medical device security and FDA cybersecurity compliance. Throughout his career, he has supported more than 50 FDA cleared medical devices, contributed to over 2,500 cybersecurity assessment reports, and worked with more than 350 clients worldwide to strengthen their cybersecurity posture and regulatory readiness. His expertise spans FDA 510K cybersecurity documentation, SBOM, secure product development framework, penetration testing, vulnerability management, supply chain security, and medical device cybersecurity practices. He is also recognized as a certified ethical hacker, FDA cybersecurity expert, and medical device specialist. Today, he will share practical insights into what manufacturers should be doing to prepare FDA ready SBOMs, avoid common compliance pitfalls, and build a cybersecurity process that extends well beyond submission into the total product lifecycle. Pavitra sir, thank you for joining us today. The floor is now yours.
So, thank you, Bhumishta, for a very warm welcome, and thank you very much to the joining and whoever will going to see the recorded session. So it's a very it's a privilege to be joined here. So before starting my webinar, I like everyone to imagine that okay, let's assume right your team is building a high class medical device. Your engineer put 2 years in researching, right, and they built the exact product that market need that will going to help patient, right. You create the document, you conduct the pen testing, you have everything, and you apply for the FDA. You are just waiting to have the FDA approval, but suddenly RTA come refuse to accept, right. So came that your SBOM is insufficient. So this is a very important and time taking process. If a RTA has been raised because of some SBOM document, then you lost another couple of months to pass the FDA. So this is where like lot of medical manufacturer facing today's. It is not just a hypothetical scenario, this is actually happening. So because of this reason, like we are planning to have this webinar specifically on the SBOM part. So we'll start with, okay, what is SBOM, right? So this SBOM is, you can think like, okay, so there are multiple component you are using to build your medical device. So there are multiple software component. To analyze those, what are the commercial vendor you are using, how many open source component you are using. So those things has been listed in one place. So that is called SBOM. So with my experience, like from the past 3 year, we are doing uh, FDA submission for different clients. And what we observe is that, okay, so the submission process is excellent, right? But when some of our lead comes to us and share their details, their inventory details, what we observe that 75% of the submissions or of the medical devices are using like external source software. And this external source software or third party components, it's actually raise a huge risk. The risk is like the supply chain attack. Supply chain attack is one of the like fastest growing cyber threat right now. And as you can see, it's 81 billion projected global cost of supply chain attack. And with all of these experience, what we observe that, okay, every 1 out of 3 RTA receive because of SBO from failure. So this SBOM failure is a reason, the main reason why 1 out of 3 FDA submission receive RTA. So if we just recall that, okay, when the FDA have passed this SBOM mandatory, so many one of you hope you remember, in 2021 there is a log4j attack happened. In that time, people or company don't know whether they are actually using log4j or not, because for this log4j there is a log4 shell issue happening, which is a very critical issue. And company are not tension that, okay, whether we can make it secure our product or not. They have to focus that, okay, whether we are actually using it or not. So from that period, actually, companies, different regulatory bodies are strengthening this SBOM practices. So was FDA. So FDA, what they introduced in March 2023, they mandate SBOM for all the medical devices as a pre-market submission. Then they revise it, make it more strength. In June 2025, they extended its requirement to add life cycle metadata and end of support data. Latter point, if I talk about today's time period, like a incomplete or a missing SBOM report trigger to SB, like FDA RTA, which going to block the review entirely. So this is the whole phase where a uh, submission has been delayed. So if I move forward, for the submission has been delayed and receive RTA, let's discuss that, okay, what are the common mistake people do, what are the common mistake compliance officer usually do so that they receive FDA rejection. Okay, starting with most common and very important is incomplete SBOM. See, SBOM is not a 6-7 pages of Excel. So it is a whole different thing you have to prepare. So people usually just list out few items, few open source item, few internal tools, and list out and provide it is as a SBOM evidence. That is not SBOM. It's completely like going to blocker the RTA. Move ahead. Incorrect and missing component version. Like I saw like many company, many compliance auditor, what they did, they write down the component name but miss the version name. For example, OpenSSL. For example, we are using OpenSSL as your encryption. So what is exact version of it? Is it 1.1, 1.0, or 1.3.0? Right? So you have to clearly mention, because this version actually affected some CB. And very important thing here, the SBM is not integrated with the cybersecurity management. What does that mean? See, most of the people know that, okay, FDA need FDA need a SBOM report. So they they generate the SBOM report, but that's not exactly what the FDA looking for. FDA want, using your SBOM, what is your cybersecurity decision, how you make cybersecurity decision. So it's not that, okay, whether you generate the SBOM or not, it's how your cybersecurity decision affecting SBOM. So you have to integrate SBOM with your cybersecurity management report. So these two report, like, you have to integrate it. Fourth point, known CB is not evaluated. See, finding component number, having the version, and having their CB is half part done. You have to also evaluate that, okay, whether this CB is actually affecting my device, whether is this CB is actually creating any impact on the patient data. So those things you have to evaluate it and mitigate it. Then unstructured SBOM document also a very common reason what we feel, because most of time what they do, like what most common manufacturer company do, they just download a template of SBOM template from internet or from AI and create the SBOM and provide to it. But think as a regulatory reviewer who review a document. So if we follow FDA aligned format, it will be easy for the regulatory bodies or regulation who will going to like review our report. They're going to easily understand it. And last, it's a it's not something that you create the night before the submission. It's an ongoing vulnerability monitoring process from start. Whatever the component you have used, when you submission, what are the components are there, even for the post market also, this ongoing vulnerability monitor process have to be implemented. It will going to help you in the post market as well.
That's a really great point, sir. One thing that really stands out here is that many FDA submission delays aren't caused by the device itself, but they
Exactly.
are caused due to incomplete cybersecurity documentation. And creating an SBOM is certainly very important, but ensuring that it's complete, accurate, and maintained throughout the product lifecycle is what truly makes the difference. Beyond regulatory compliance, it's also a cybersecurity best practice that helps organizations stay ahead of emerging vulnerabilities and software supply chain risk. I truly agree with you, sir.
Correct, correct. So see, this SBOM, like, if I want everyone to take from this slide, is SBOM is not a report, it's a process. So you have to build a process. So moving forward to continue my word, so since we know that, okay, SBM is not just a report, it's a whole process thing, right? So let's understand this SBM end-to-end process, how this SBM usually built, where we take the information, how its process flow, right? So start with collecting software artifacts. So see, in cybersecurity world, we usually say we can't secure something that we can't see it, right? So if you don't know what is the software components are there, we cannot make it secure, right? So we have to collect the software artifacts, for example, source code, firmware, binaries, like OS. So we have to collect those software artifacts. Then we have to create a like we have to generate the SBOM format. And FDA recommend the SBOM format should be Cyclone DX and SPDX machine readable format. Once we create this SBOM format, we have to validate this SBOM manually. See what people do usually, like they just using Cyclone DX, they just create a SBOM format and proceed with it. But we have to validate it, verify the component, verify the version is actually matching, verify the dependencies, so that we can have the accurate picture of the components that we are using to build the software, the medical device. then then we have to correlate with security data. This is where the security parts comes in. Like we have to correlate that, okay, for assume, let's assume there is, for encryption we are using OpenSSL. Then we put the version number, let's say it's 1.3. Then we correlate that, okay, from NVD, from CB database, from KV, that, okay, for this particular version, what are the CB affected it, what are the vulnerability affected this particular version. Once we get those information, then only we identify affected components. For example, okay, a certain version is affected by CBE, but whether that affection or that CBE is actually impacting our device or not, our software or not. So we have to identify those things. We have to identify what is the end of life support, what is the end of support, right? So those things also we have to identify and mention. Once we have those information, we know, then we go to define mitigation. For example, uh, let's say there is a vulnerability affected to certain component that we use. Okay, so what the next step? Next step is whether we have to patch it, we have to update it, we have to upgrade it, or if that is not in the picture, then what is our control that we like what is our control that we put, so that we make sure that our device is secure. So we have to define the mitigation strategy as well. Then then perform a risk assessment. See, every CB that is related to any software component does not require same attention. So we have to calculate the CBSS score, whether this is a critical, it's affecting our system or not, this is high, medium, low. So we have to calculate it. Once we calculate it, then we'll try to exploit it, that okay, how it's impacting the patient data, how it's impacting the medical device. Once we have those information, we'll generate the SBOM report. Here only we generate the SBOM report that is summarize everything, that okay, this is our list of inventories, this is how we manage, this is how we handle the vulnerability, this is how we define the like mitigations. Then we create this SBOM report and submit to the submission process. And afterward, we have to continuous monitoring it. It's not that a single page or it's a static report. You have to continuously monitor that okay, in coming month what are the new vulnerabilities affecting our components, and how we can make it secure. So this is the whole complete process. Just to give you a summarization, like a summary, that okay, for example, we collect the source code, then we extract the details using cyclone dx. And once we extract the what are the component, what are the third party element that you are using, what is the software version you are using, once we have those things, we validate it manually. Then we find out with the like a CB or KV database to check that okay, whether those component and with that particular version, is there any vulnerability associated with or not. Then once we identify those things, we prepare a mitigation step, that okay, what can we do, like whether we can update, upgrade, or any patch we can implement. Once we conduct those things, then we perform a risk assessment to understand that okay, the pen testing has been completed, risk assessment has been conducted. Then we generate this SBOM report with all these details, that okay, these things we have been doing, and submit to the FDA submission.
That's a very well documented process, sir. I believe when organizations pay attention to each step in the workflow, it not only makes documentation much easier, but it also gives the FDA reviewers a much clearer and a more structured view of the submission. And it also shows us that the SBOM implementation isn't a one time activity, it's a very
Exactly.
continued process that supports both the regulatory compliance and the ongoing cybersecurity.
Totally agreed. Totally agreed. Actually, this SBOM is not just a report; it's a process, and it's like if you see in a different way, not just to compile with certain regulation. If you see that okay, this SBOM will going to benefit you throughout the development life cycle, that is where the value has been generated. So moving forward with okay. So we discussed that okay, what is SBOM is, why, what FDA looking for, and how we can prepare a SBOM report, right? So let's understand that okay, in a SBOM report, what exactly included, like what are the elements should be there in the SBOM report. So FDA follows particular guide, which is NTIA guide. They mandate that okay, you have to follow that standard. Okay, what is this NTIA guide? So they have particular section to creating a SBOM. So what are the section? For like supplier name, like for a component, who built this, who developed that component? Is it Microsoft, Google, or who built it? We have to specify their name. Then component name. What is the component name? Like this is where usually people do mistake. They put like a common name, very random name like encryption technology. No, here we have to put the component name. For encryption, what you are using? Are you using OpenSSL? Then you have to mention, okay, the component name is OpenSSL. Then component version. What is the component version you are using? Because without having the version, without having those version name or version ID, then we cannot proceed for the calculating CB, right? So what is this uh, version number? Is it 1.1, 1.3, 3.0, or any other thing? If you are using Apache, then what is its version number? So you have to mention the version number also. Then there is a unique identifier number. It's like a uniquely identify that, so that you can track in future if you upgrade something, so that everybody will be aligned, and there is a unique identifier number you have to put. Then dependency relationship. See, we are living in a world where none of the software component are used isolatedly. Very rarely some software component are using isolate. Every component depend on other component, other theme, other OS. It's an interlink process. So you have to write down that, okay, what is this dependency relationship? Is it directly affecting the device? Is it indirectly affecting the device? So you have to specifically mention the dependency relationship. Then SBOM author, who write this report, like, and the timestamp, like when the report has been written. Because you cannot submit a year old SBOM report for the SBOM submission. This SBOM report should be very like monthly old or recently created. So there is timestamp and SBOM author name should be mentioned. But this is NTIA guide that FDA like one that, okay, you have to follow. Apart from it, with our experience, what we feel, and even FDA also release some documentation regarding it. Apart from that also, FDA need additional information. What are those additional information? They need end of support and end of life data. They need maintenance status, like whether the supplier is maintain it, actively maintain it, no longer maintain it, or abandon it. We have to like provide a maintenance status. Then known CB per component. For each component, what are the known CB affected to it? We have to put and give that information as well. Then component has is like, usually it's recommend, FDA recommend that SAT 2.256 has you have to use to give a component has. So this exactly, using these things you have to create this SBOM report. And see, this SBOM report will going to help you in the throughout the software development life cycle. It is not just a single page that you built, right? So moving ahead, moving ahead, yeah, that is what we also mentioned in the next slide, that, okay, how this SBOM is going to help you in SPDF. Like many who are actually applying for FDA 510K submission, pre-market submission, must be aware that FDA give lot of importance to SPDF, Secure Product Development Framework. So our SBOM should be aligned with SPDF. Here we also give a very good comparison that, okay, for SPDF, what is they required and how SBOM achieving it. So starting with software inventory. SBOM want you have to have a software inventory, and SBOM is it for, like they have to, they in the SBOM we maintain everything, all software component dependency as inventory, so that we know that, okay, what we are using to build this whole ecosystem of whole medical ecosystem. Okay. Then software, like software supply chain security. As FDA give lot of importance to supply chain security, they want that, okay, in their SPDF activity, how we secure our medical device from supply chain attacks. So since in SBOM, since we have all the details, we know which are commercial, which are open source, which are OTS, right? And we can calculate that, okay, we can mitigate the supply chain risk because of this SBOM. Moving at vulnerability management. Since in the SBOM we know that okay, this component you are using and this is the version name, we know that okay, this is the particular CB is affecting. So for managing vulnerability, this is also going to help. Third, cybersecurity risk assessment. Imagine we are going for the penetration testing, and someone having a SBOM report and someone having without SBOM report. Who having the SBOM report will have a extra benefits, because the pen tester will easily know that okay, these are the component they have to pen test. They know the version number and they can easily extract the CB and try to exploit it. So it will going to help there also. Third, patch and update management. Since we know that okay, these are the version components we are using, we know that okay, what is its latest version, whether we can patch it, update it, or upgrade it. So to make a secure decision, SBOM help us. Third, life cycle management. Like since we have all these component list, we know that okay, which particular component will going to end of life or end of support. Accordingly, we have to prepare our controls. And last and very important thing is the post market monitoring. See what FDA want. Just think of FDA, not just to like get the success submission, but think of FDA, right? FDA want you does not just market a secure product, but throughout its product life cycle journey, you will going to secure it. And SBOM is the first component of it and a very essential component of it.
That's really a great insight, sir. I know in our last webinar you explained why
Exactly.
SBOM is so important, and I think today's discussion really justifies it.
Totally agree. So moving forward, the SBOM best practices. Okay, we know what is SBOM, why FDA required it, and what are the component FDA release RTA. Then we know how to create this SBOM and what are the components it's take, right? And how it's help in SPDF. Now the most important part here is the what is the best practices. What are the common best practices that we follow so that we make sure at least our SBOM report is FDA ready. So starting with maintain a complete SBOM report. So it's not, don't never ever send 3-4 pages of SBOM report. List out each and every uh, like component that you are using, like whether it is commercial, whether it is proprietary, open source, or any third party component. You have to list out everything and provide. Second, use standard format, like generate SBOM report using Cyclone DX and SPDX or SPDX. You can use any of them to prepare the format. Then keep the SBOM up to date. Never share a report which is 1 year old, even 6 month old, even 4 month old. I'll tell that okay, give the latest report to the FDA. It will give them the visibility that you are not just secure, you are having a secure attitude and secure mindset. So give the latest report. Then monitor vulnerability continuously. Like it does not take you anywhere if you just list out the component, if you don't monitor the vulnerability for each. For example, there is a particular component you are using for particular version, what is the vulnerability arising this month, what are the new vulnerability has been affecting our component, which is directly impacting our devices or our patient data. So we have to monitor this regularly, usually monthly. Then track component life cycle. There are multiple components that you may use by known or by unknown. There might be end of life, end of support. We have to monitor it. And this is very crucial. If something, let's assume the whoever developed that component just provide that okay, it's end of support. Then in future, how you are going to secure it? So you have to have a particular plan and you have to have a compensate controls around it. Then moving forward, risks, perform risk assessment. Performing penetration testing, vulnerability analysis, or vulnerability assessment is very important. So do it uh, as part of best practices. So it will going to affect. See, SBOM, threat modeling, and pen testing. These are very correlated thing. It's proof that you are like handling your data securely. Then implement timely mitigation. Knowing vulnerability, as I mentioned, knowing vulnerability is half part done. Mitigating is the 100%. So you have to plan the mitigation, whether you're going to replace that component, whether you're going to update or upgrade that component. So you have to implement timely mitigation. And the most important thing, integrate SBOM into SPDF. Since FDA gives lot of weight to SPDF, do let integrate SBOM into your software product development framework. And even though in post market also you have to utilize it. And moving forward, so since we already discussed that, okay, what is the SBOM report content and how the flow is, right, what is the total process flow, let me give you some of the example of our SBOM report, so that you can have an idea that, okay, how a SBOM report looks like. So the first screenshot is just for the contents. Like, you can see what is actually the content list of. Then is the purpose, the list of component list, overview of the component, license compliance information, license compliance and monitoring, and vulnerability informations. So these five things combine the SBOM report, not just the component list. Component list is only the information. What is the action, items, everything you have list. And you observe one thing here, it's more than 200 pages. So usually like whoever we perform the SBOM analysis is nearly 150 plus 200 page usually required. So it's need a very comprehensive, and FDA looking for a comprehensive report, not just a standard very small report, right? So they need those kind of very comprehensive detailed report and a proof that, okay, you are maintaining it. And also I have also attached a component list, so that you can understand that, okay, how this component list looks like. This components list started with the SBOM author, for example, Qualysec Technology, we perform for our client, timestamp when we did it, component name, what is the particular component name, vendor name, version, component hash, unique identifier, release date, level of support, end of support, relationship with other components, and known vulnerabilities like CV numbers, what is the CV affected with it. So this is a usually standard component list looks like, and this is how a SBOM report on a high level looks like. So yeah.
I would like to say for everyone joining us today, if you would like to review a real world FDA ready SBOM sample report, simply comment down SBOM below this LinkedIn live session. After the webinar, we will share the sample report with you, and our team will be happy to guide you through it and answer any questions you may be having.
Sure. And moving with like a case study. So I like to give you a like long story short. Okay, it's been 6 months earlier. There is a USA based healthcare company who perform the pen test, prepare all the report, all the document that is FDA need, this apply to it, and receive a RTA because of this SBOM. And they reach out to us through a mutual friend of us. So they reach out to us and see, say, Pabitra, this is the scenario, this is the RTA has been raised from the FDA regulation, that, okay, because of our SBOM, these things is happening. So what we did, so we did analysis everything, like we take the components, we use cyclone dx for analyzing, generating the machine readable format, we manually sit with their development team to understand that, okay, whether those components are correctly version are been correctly mentioned or not. Then we create the report for them. I remember when they talk to us that time, or even though the SBOM report they have updated is actually 7 pages, 7 or 8 pages, right? And when we create the exact SBOM report, and there are a lot of information they are missing, like even there are a lot of components they didn't think that, okay, we should put, but we have to put it very carefully, we align everything with the CB, and we also provide them the mitigation step that, okay, how they can mitigate it. Then we prepare the document and tell them to submit in the star portal. And I believe within 1 month the FDA clearance has been successfully submitted, and the RTA that has been raised has been successfully cleared. So this is how we usually help one of our client. And if I move forward with how actually Qualysec help manufacturing like healthcare manufacturer to clear FDA 510K submission. So like in this we do create SBOM. We do create help you to create the SBOM report with a very comprehensive element. We use expert human review, not it's not automated generate or something that we automate it. We like because that FDA required expert review more, right? So we use human expert. Then we do identify this vulnerability. We map these component version with NBD, CB, or KEV. Then we also give you the suggestion that okay, these are the CB has been affected. As well as we do perform the risk assessment, like we analysis the criticality or the CBSS score. We do perform pen testing and exploit all these things so that we can align with the SPDF. We do also give you help you in the mitigation and recommendation. We help you to mitigate okay how you can fix those CB. Apart from that, we also provide you FDA documentation. Like if you remember, like whoever is joining our previous webinar regarding the FDA documentation, there are actually 14 documents needed. We will help in all these 14 documentations. And post market submission, like uh, after you success with the submission, what will be the post market support, how we will going to help you throughout the development life cycle. So we will going to help you with it. And that's all about the SBOM and how it's affect FDA, right? So that's all. So thanks for listening to me and being here for this time. So yeah, over to you, Mr.
Thank you so much, Pabitra sir, for such an insightful and highly informative session. I believe today's discussion has given all of us a much clearer understanding of why SBOM has become a critical requirement for FDA 510K submissions, what the FDA actually expects, the common compliance pitfalls to avoid, and lastly, the best practices for building and maintaining an FDA ready SBOM throughout the total product lifecycle. We will now move on into our live question and answer session. If you have any questions related to SBOM implementation, FDA cybersecurity compliance, software supply chain security, or your organization's FDA 510K submission readiness, please feel free to post them in the chat. Pabitra sir will be answering your questions and sharing practical insight based on his experience. With that, let's begin our question and answer session. So we have our first question with us. Can the FDA reject a submission because the SBOM is incomplete?
Yes, that's that is the main reason actually. SBO like FDA give lot of importance to SBOM. SBOM is an integral part of security. So yes, if there is a incomplete or a very standard approach for the SBOM, then definitely the FDA rejected.
Okay, sir, I think that answers. Sir, apart from that, I have some questions. Like, I would like to begin with few of the questions we receive most frequently from medical device manufacturers. The first one of them is, should we publish the SBOM? Are we giving away our secrets?
Okay, so see, uh, SBOM is not like you're going to give your secret to the auditor or the FDA. No, it's like imagine you are running a shop, right? If you don't know what are the inventories are you have and how you will manage it. So this is what security posture also. Like right now 75% or more than 75%, what I personally believe is you are using third party component to build the like medical device. So to have a inventory list, it's actually enhance, it's boost your security, it's not giving away any secret. It's better for you, better for the regulatory auditor who audit your submission. It's better for him also that okay, he see that okay, everything has been detailed down, your inventory is very clear, you maintain everything. It's add on, it's not revealing any secret.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like we are definitely not giving our secrets. Your answer it's. So another question which we get most frequently is if someone is using AI as a part of their application component, how can we show it in SBOM report?
Correct, correct. So, like nowadays, we are living in AI era, right? So, we often see that lot of manufacturer, medical company, software as a medical device, they are using AI, and it's becoming the integral part of like healthcare sector, right? And it's awesome. People are using AI. So, to answer your question, there is actually a new terms called AI bomb, but for the FDA they are actually not going that way. They're looking in the SBOM itself. If you mention that, for example, if you are using any, let's assuming you are using OpenAI APIs to do any analysis, so you have to mention that, okay, who is the uh, like what is the LLM name, where you take the like where you take the services, right, which LLM you are using, what is this version. Even the routers, like if you are using different routers to access different LLM, what are the router you are using, you have to mention in the SBOM itself. In a separate section you have to mention it, because AI is also a part of this supply chain attack, so you have to mention in the SBOM itself.
Yes, sir. That answers that if we can put our AI as a part and show it in the SBOM report. I think that's the end of our question and answer session. We have two comments from Vidya and Mulayam to for sending the SBOM sample report. Sure, Vidya, and sure, Mulayam Yadav, we will be reaching out to you soon, sending the SBOM sample report. Now, as we come to the end of today's webinar, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Pabitra sir for sharing
Thank
his
you.
expertise and valuable insights on effective SBOM implementation for FDA 510K submission. Today's discussion has shown us that an SBOM is far more than a regulatory requirement. It's a
Exactly.
critical element of medical device cybersecurity, software supply chain security, and successful FDA submission readiness. I would also like to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to join us today. We truly appreciate your participation, your engagement, and all the thoughtful questions you have shared throughout the session. If you would like to review a real life FDS ready SBOM sample report, simply comment SBOM below this LinkedIn live session. Our team will be happy to share the sample report with you after the live webinar and answer any questions you may have. And if you are currently preparing for an FDA 510K submission or would like expert guidance on a cybersecurity documentation, we'd be delighted to support you. As highlighted on your screen, Qualysec offers a complimentary FDA 510K compliance assessment, which includes gap analysis against FDA 510K cybersecurity requirements, SBOM readiness review, penetration testing score for your medical device, submission timeline assessment and roadmap, post market monitoring strategy. If you'd like to learn more, please feel to visit www.qualysec.com or email us at sales@qualysec.com or connect with our team on LinkedIn. And now, on behalf of everyone at Qualysec Technologies, thank you once again for joining us. We hope you found today's session informative, valuable, and we look forward to welcoming you to another Qualysec webinar in the near future. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for having us.